13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age. Welcome back to 13 Questions, the podcast where we ask men questions trying to bring wisdom back into this world. Thank you all for joining us. This week I am joined by Bill Robinson. Bill is somebody that I personally know. He is my fiance's father. He is a incredibly wonderful, compassionate, and loving person, and I am really looking forward to bringing this interview to you. He's a really interesting guy. Bill Robinson was born in Ohio in 1941. He was raised mainly in Lake Worth, Florida. He joined the military, met his wife in Germany where her father was enlisted, and became a loving father of 3 children. He then became a mechanic for the Mohawk Plane while in Vietnam. Afterwards, he joined the executive flight where he was the crew chief for Army I presidential helicopters, and often flew with President Johnson, Nixon, and Ford. This also included Nixon's final flight out of office. Bill can be seen in this iconic photo next to the president. Once they decided to switch from Army I to Marine I and Air Force I, the executive flight crew was given a choice of station in Alaska or Hawaii. He chose Alaska, where he and his family spent 3 years. Then he was stationed in Virginia in the 80s and decided to retire from the military and moved back to South Florida with his wife and 3 kids. He worked a couple of odd jobs until he got hired at Sikorsky, where he continued doing what he loved, working on helicopters. He is now retired and lives in North Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah, this was a really fun interview. I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you do, please consider becoming a member of the podcast. You'll get to hear bonus questions by Bill after we finish with the first 13 questions. We sit around, we go through another 6 or 7, and then, of course, we discuss the process and what it was like for him to answer these questions. I really hope that you guys enjoy the wisdom that Bill brings. And, well, if you guys want to participate, if you want to dip your toes in, become a member, go to the website, get access to our weekly prompted journaling courses, the ability to help improve yourself, bring some more wisdom into your life, or bring wisdom into other people's lives. Produce your own podcast. If you know somebody like Bill, if you know somebody in your life that you know their story can impact and help somebody else, or they have knowledge that has benefited you, then do an interview, speak to them, go out and record it. The audio is good. You can send it to me and I will produce it, put it together, and we will drop you into the feed and share with the rest of the world. As an example, this episode here was recorded completely on a Roland R07. The only other things I had was a set of earbuds, a little tripod that sat on a desk, and I took a microfiber cloth to put the tripod on to act as a sound dampener. That's it. Afterwards, I ran it through some software called Alphonic and edited it together, took out some couple of pauses, a couple of lip smacks, but nothing major, and this is it. It's really not that difficult. So if you can get some quality recording, a quiet environment, we would love to hear what you can bring to us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Bill Robinson, my friend, my fiance's father, and a wonderful man, and thank you. So, you ready to...
Anytime you are.
Awesome. All right, so this is 13 Questions. Today we have Bill Robinson. And Bill, I know I've known you for a while. So it's very nice to be able to sit down and do this. You're one of the most interesting people I know. And so, yeah, I'm really interested to see how you answer all these questions. You ready?
Yep, ready.
Awesome. What was the best advice ever given to you? And would you modify it at all today?
Have respect for somebody, everybody that you meet, until they do something to lose your respect. Simple as that.
Is that something that was like ingrained with you as a child?
Yes. My mom and dad. They always respected it. It seemed like they respected everybody. Never had any arguments, nothing. No. That's the way it was when I was growing up. And I did that through my entire life so far, until somebody makes it unbelievable, insulting, or make me lose their respect. I respect everybody.
You think that's something that was like valuable for your career path? Because you kind of went down a pretty disciplined career path with job choosing.
With the military, yeah. That also helped a little bit. The military didn't change much, but I respected everybody, even the low-ranking people, until they did something to lose my respect. That was it. Even my commanders, I respected them until they did something to lose my respect. And that's what I do, respect people.
That's awesome. What was the most important lesson you learned from your parents?
Not to argue in front of children.
Really?
I'm hoping that me and my wife never argued in front of our kids until we got older, when they were teenagers or something like that.
Yeah, they were arguing anyways, right?
Not the kids did, but hopefully me and my wife didn't do that, because my dad and mom, we never heard them argue, and never heard them cuss at each other or say anything bad about each other in front of us. So until my dad got old and he was bedridden, my mom started getting mad at him because he couldn't get out of bed, and she had to go every time he rang the bell. She had to go to him.
Did he abuse it? Was he one of those?
No, he didn't. My mom's sister was the first one to get up when she was staying with my mom for a while. But other than that, I guess it just gets old. It got old for my mother to have to get up every time he rang the bell because he couldn't walk. He had emphysema too bad. So,
what book has been most influential on your life, and why?
I have dyslexia, and I do not remember a book that I've read.
Well, what about listen to? Because I know you do audiobooks. Or maybe is there an author who's impacted you?
Yeah, what's that guy? Da Vinci Code?
Dan Brown.
Dan Brown?
Yeah. Okay. I like his books, but and he very descriptive when he writes. Everything is real about where he goes, and I mean, you hear about all these kind of places that he's been. You want to go see them, but don't have enough money to do that. But very interesting places he used to write about.
That's interesting. No, because it's funny because you say that, and I'm thinking about the flip side. I'm thinking about how interesting it is that like the worlds he delves into, the churches and the history.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you've had that in your own life with Camp David and these other places, and so it's kind of interesting just to see like you're still steeped in that like I don't know, looking at the history.
Well, I've seen a lot of things. There's no question about that. Well, all the traveling I did when I worked for the White House, every place they went, I went. South America, Peru, Argentina when I worked for Sikorsky, all over Europe, Egypt.
Oh, wow.
we spent about 3 weeks in Egypt, and we left one of our helicopters for the Sadat over there too. So we saw a lot. The pyramids and what was that city on Alexandria, where the castle was for the king of Egypt back in the day.
Wow! So you were with like all the dignitaries or whoever, I should say, or were you kind of?
We were just reconning the area that Nixon would go into.
Very cool, very cool. So you were kind of doing like security ahead of time and
landed on top of what was beached aircraft carrier in Alexandria. So spent a couple hours to see what it was like to land on the deck of a aircraft carrier and that Navy stuff.
That's fun. Is there a particular part of the world doing all that you like enjoyed the most, like a place that you like if you could go back you just want to go there and settle in?
No, not really. The only place I like is the United States, and why people go out of the United States to visit countries that are beautiful. All you have to do is fly around this country a lot.
That is true. We have one of the most diverse landscapes.
You said that right.
Yeah.
Especially Wyoming. You fly over rivers in Wyoming, and they're just as clear as glass.
Yeah, people forget that we are the most diverse in resources and in landscape compared to most of the rest of the world.
Drop dead beautiful. Even Alaska. During the winter, it was kind of bad. It was all snow. But other than that, it was really beautiful.
What daily habits or rituals do you have, and do you recommend them to others?
I don't really have any habits that I know of. Oh, try to get along, not get upset with other people until they tick you off, and be nice. That's
a good habit to have, though. Yeah, because you see so many people act in a way that it's clearly aggressive and going to just get extra unwanted behavior.
Well, they don't care about anybody but themselves, normally. But there are people that are really nice, that'll help you out. And if I could, I'd like to help a lot of people out. Physically help if they need help.
Yeah, well, you're one of the nicest people I know. And I mean that as in, like, you don't get upset. Even when, like, you go to a restaurant and you get the worst service on the planet, or just things that would grate and aggravate the average person, you seem to handle really well, and just, you get flustered, but it doesn't, you don't let it ruin your day. You've got like a good perspective where it's like, all right, it's just a beer they didn't bring me.
All it does is irritate you, and I don't want to get irritated. I don't like to get irritated at all.
Yeah, it's like poison, but you eat it. If I were to ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say you need to work on the most, and why?
Keep myself in condition.
Doing the right exercise, that kind of
PT,
stuff.
Yeah. Oh, because it benefits you. PT, which I should do a whole lot more of, and I don't do that much of. So, back in the day,
yeah. You think there's a reason?
Every once in a while, I'd get to a habit where I do physical stuff, but then I got out of that. So,
you think that's just with getting older and kind of just settling into the retired lifestyle?
Even when I was growing up, it was the same way. I wasn't really active that much. I did what everybody else does, but I didn't get that active, like exercising, running.
Right. We've done it. I'll tell you what, you do a lot with your mind, because you're always listening to audiobooks. You're always doing, crosswords or things like that, which is fantastic, because some people just let their mind rot, or they let it get filled with, the news or their feeds, and they follow that as, they don't keep their mind active in thinking and doing calculations, which is phenomenal because it keeps you sharp.
Well, that's what I don't want to get is stupid.
Yeah.
Or with dementia or Alzheimer's. I don't want any part of that.
Well, you kind of hinted on it before. It's like exercise. If you don't lift weights, your arms aren't going to be as strong. If you don't do that thinking all the time, your brain is doing the same thing. It has to keep sharp. If you let that go, you'll just turn into mush.
Exactly the way I feel about it.
What are you most curious about?
Oh, why people are such jerks. There are a lot of them that they really work at being jerks. I don't know why, but people are just like that. They want to be assholes. Excuse my language, but that I just don't understand why they have to be like that. They want attention. I have no idea what they do it for. So.
It's funny when I see people like that, I don't get angry nearly as much as I used to, because I'm like, well, clearly that person's not happy. Like you're really like you're pushing this out, and I'm like, well, I'd hate to be you because I'm not gonna, if I own what you're giving, then I'm just gonna feel the same way that you are, and
Exactly.
you're offloading that on me, and I don't want that. So instead, it's like it makes me feel sad for the person. I'm like, oh man.
Always have a smile. Well, try to always have a smile on your face, and don't get upset too often, because all it does is ruin your stomach too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean the world can be falling down around you, but in the moment, you have a roof over your head. If you have food in front of you and a glass of water, like you can just focus on that moment. That for that space of time, there's everything okay. It's okay for you. But if you let the guy that packed your groceries wrong or the person that cut you off or something like that start seeping into your mind, then
get irritated with him.
Yeah.
Well, you get irritated, but you don't go crazy about it.
Well, exactly. You can't just ignore things completely because then those things will persist and you'll get that person that never gets checked.
Every once in a while, you lose your cool, but maintain a control yourself, then you have no problem. It's just like this football game this past Thursday, where this one player took off the quarterback's helmet and hit him with it.
Oh my gosh!
And well, he's going to be paying the penalty.
I was going to say that could even be like civil. They've done that in hockey before.
Well, yeah. He gave the guy a concussion in hockey. It was in the paper today. But this guy actually took off the quarterback's helmet and turned around and hit him with it. And he's out for the rest of the season, and it's going to affect the rest of his career. So that's why your anger doesn't do you any good, anybody any good. So you have, like I said, keep your cool.
Yeah, and it's terrifying that people can do that because, I mean, they're already football players, and it's like two trucks running into each other every time they're out there. But a helmet hitting somebody in the head, you could change a person forever over just one little snap decision.
Because of anger, a bit of anger, and that's exactly what it is. That's why you have to be able to control it. And a lot of times you can't control it, but you have to.
That's an important one. We're living in a society where people want to quell anger, but it's more what you're saying. It's directing it. Because if somebody breaks into your house and they're going to hurt your kids, you need that anger. You need that ferocity. You need the violence. You need the ability to act on it. And you need the ability to control yourself while doing it. Because if you never have that, then those threats can, that's a problem. But if you allow that to come into the grocery store, normal life, or driving, then it's a terrifying thing to live with.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the road rage is such a bad thing. You get ticked off drivers, and it's understandable. People do jerky things, but you don't go crazy or try to shoot somebody or try and run them off the road or something like that. You're just not right. You don't do that.
Well, times certainly have changed, huh?
And that's a fact. They sure have.
What was one of the more embarrassing, humiliating, or humbling experiences of your life?
Being put in handcuffs in Alaska by the MPs. I had too much drink. I ran into a snowbank on my way home, which was only less than a mile. And I ran into a snowbank, and the MPs put handcuffs on me and took me to the brig until my commander come and got me out of the brig.
So were you driving a personal vehicle?
My car, yes. And that was the most embarrassing. Then I had to go before the base commander and give him a reason why it happened. And then I could have gotten a lot of trouble. And because of my rank, somebody with my same rank squashed the complaint, so I lucked out.
Well, that's good. I mean, ultimately, you only hurt a snowbank and maybe your car.
That's it.
So it's what's the damage? Sleep it off. Learn your lesson.
That's it.
It's funny too because we live in this world where you get a DUI. Bad things can happen. Your life can be over. It can affect jobs and careers, but there's examples like that where, hey, you can learn a lesson. Like we can take the time to, like, I love that part of old, police work where you would have, hey, the kid, you get out of your car. I know a guy that this happened to, or his friend. He gets out of his car. He's doing some sort of traffic stop. The kid steals the police car, drives it up to a bridge, parks it in between, turns the lights and the siren on, locks the car, keys in the car, and then walks away. So now the cop's going to have to come up and like break into his own car or get tow away there. Now nobody, that's totally mischievous, but he didn't go to jail, get a huge record for stealing a police car. All these other, like, you could have ruined a person's life. You could justify shooting or beating the person senseless, which happens, so too many times today. But, it's nice to hear that, because clearly it was an embarrassing experience. I'm assuming that it changed your behavior in some direction when you were driving.
A whole lot.
What is your greatest fear? And how did you overcome it, if at all?
Drowning, surviving.
So you were scared of drowning before and then surviving?
Not really scared of it, but doesn't bother me anymore. But drowning is like falling off a log once you get over the panic. That's why dying doesn't bother me at all. So, because it's like falling off a log.
So you were involved in a helicopter crash over water. Did you actually start to drown? Like you went underwater? Did you go unconscious?
I went unconscious for a short period of time, and I floated to the air pocket in the helicopter, and I survived.
Wow!
It wasn't my time to go yet. All my kids were young then.
So water doesn't bother you, or things, and flying you can.
Water doesn't bother me. I had to, when I started working for Sikorsky, I had to go through not dive tanks. They called submerged tanks where they put you in a seat and drop you in the water, and you have to be able to get out of the seat and float to the surface, not go the wrong way.
Was that so? That was clearly a near-death experience for you.
It was.
Was that your first near-death experience?
Yes.
Did your life change afterwards? And I don't mean just in how you viewed the world. Did things seem different in the world? Like you hear people where they'll have a life-changing experience, and not only do they see the world different, but they'll have synchronicities or things happen. And
yes, it changed my life to the fact where I don't care whether I die anymore. When my time has come, it's come. There's not a thing I can do about it. And that's what that told me, that I shouldn't be alive today. The agent that died in that helicopter crash, he's not alive. And I was one of the ones that should be dead, but I'm not, because it wasn't my time to go yet. When it's come, it's come. There's not a thing I can do about it. Nobody.
That's awesome. You already got the lease. You already know what it's like to go through the whole experience, and then to come back.
Your life does flash before your eyes. Trust me, because it did.
Wow. Was it classic? Like your whole life, kind of just
most of it.
Wow.
I don't remember that much about it, so I do remember a lot that was going through my mind when I was passed out, though.
Was it hard to get back to work after that?
No. And I had no problem with flying. But when I did fly after that, I was always looking for a place from a helicopter to land if something happened. And that was no big thing.
Water can be a blessing and a curse.
Well, even when you're flying in the woods and the trees, you're still looking for a spot to put a helicopter down.
Oh, that would be terrible to have to land in a forest.
All
right?
Depends on
because if you're hitting trees,
on how good the pilots are.
That's always the key. Well, yeah, especially because it depends on what's wrong with it. You can float them down, even with the problem.
That's a fact.
What quality do you most admire in a man, and why?
Well, a man that respects his kids and loves them and shows his love for them, and that's about all that I and not being a jerk is another thing. So, but that's about the only thing that I admire in a guy.
Why do you find that admirable? Is it because of your love of children, or how you see that affects the future and the world we live in?
One of the biggest things, yes. If the father is a jerk, the kids are going to be jerks. If a father's a druggie, the kids are going to be druggies. So it's one of those things that happens. So
yeah. More often than not, the apple doesn't far from the tree as it sometimes should.
That's a fact.
Who were and are your role models, and why?
Oh,
could also be the most positive influence on your life.
Well, my mom and dad for the most. And the other guy was Ron Bean, the one that pulled me out of the helicopter when it crashed. The co-pilot was going towards shore after the helicopter crash, but the pilot, Ron Bean, he came back to let the agents out and find me. And that's the one and he's gone now. He had lupus and was in a wheelchair for many years because of it.
That tells the character of two people, because clearly in your profession with the jobs that you guys were doing and who you were flying, it wasn't the weaklings, but when the situation happens, you have two men who are fully qualified, and one seeing the shoreline in his life and the other one is thinking about
other people.
Yeah, that's powerful, because those situations are so chaotic and crazy, and you're going in with panicked people that anything can happen. There's no, if you're going to grab people, there's no chance that one of those guys that swim back to shore isn't also panicking inside and has never been in a drowning situation.
That's a fact.
That's awesome. So I know you I'm assuming you kind of kept contact with him after that.
Oh, every reunion he was at that he could come to, he was in a wheelchair for the last 3 reunions, him and his wife. And I had total respect for the guy. He had to leave the Army early because of the disease that he had, and he was still a great guy.
Well, it's awesome that you got to know him. What institution of society or structural aspect of modern life would you change given the chance?
Politics. It's just, they're some of the nastiest, crooked people in the world. I just don't understand how some of them can be. Even though Nixon was left office, he still was a nicer guy than Lyndon Johnson or Ford. So, but politicians are politicians. They're all in it for the money, and they stay there too long. That's the problem. When they stay in so long, they think they're kings and queens, and nobody has any reason to do anything against them, and that's not right. Did
your perspective kind of get shifted being that close to the White House and kind of seeing behind that veil where you saw the politicians, still with their show, but not on guard all the time?
You didn't get to know them personally, but you met a lot of different people. But I couldn't say that personally. I couldn't,
because most people don't get to see that, the people behind the scenes and really, just the dynamics of what's going on, to go, oh man, these people are all full of shit. We all know they're full of shit, but
and crooked is what really gets me. They go in, don't have any money at all, but when they come out, they got all kind of money. Look at Obama. They buying that multi-million-dollar home on Cape Cod. Tell me that he's from Chicago. So figure it out. They're not crooked. That's how they make their money.
It almost seems like today the politics is set up where if you want to play, for you to be even in the game, you got to be dirty. You got to be crooked. There has to be dirt on you.
And lie a lot, too.
So everybody's in it together. We're all thieves. We're all going to go down. I'm not going to tell on you. You're not going to tell on me. Like, that's what I see.
Exactly what is going on, too. But unless you're on a different party and you're after the other party, it's going on now. It's out of control right now. So, and the media, oh man.
It's funny. History seems cyclical where, to me, this has all the hallmarks of like McCarthyism.
Exactly.
A lot of people know that there's horse shit involved, but still there's a large segment of the populace that's influential enough, and there's political reasons and people behind the scenes that are creating the media storm, which is just influencing this group. It's weird. It is really, because I grew up thinking this stuff would never happen. And you're growing up having seen the repercussions of it and going, man, it's back again?
Oh, man. And only this time it's a lot worse than it was with Nixon. But that's also where you find out whether you have friends or not when you're a politician. Because they'll turn you in, turn up and stab you in the back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are like, too, today. So they talk to you as friendly as they can be while they're looking at you, but as soon as you turn, they're going to stick you with something.
What is the most courageous thing you have ever done in your life or seen?
Well, the most courageous thing I ever did was going in after the life raft and trying to help the Secret Service agents out of the helicopter crash.
So after you came to, then you immediately went back into...
To get the life raft. All the agents were out because Ron Bean had got all the agents out except for the one that drowned. But every other one, that was my mission when I passed out, is to go kick a window out so the agents could get out of the helicopter.
Were you worried that the helicopter was sinking and going down? Was it like that? Because I'm not familiar with that.
We were in the air pocket, so
so it had some.
The nose of the front of the helicopter was sitting on the bottom, and the tail was sitting out of the water.
Gotcha.
So the tail was out of the water. That's how everybody survived, really, except for the one agent.
Yeah. It's an amazing experience, and so many things for your life now have been impacted and changed by that moment, out of complete tragedy, if it's going to happen, seeing what other people are capable of in that situation. To me, that's almost like a beautiful gift that even in the worst, you get to see this, I don't know. The
good and the bad.
Yeah, exactly. As bad as it gets, you can still do this, and you can still impact these people. Because it impacted me, it's going to impact all them. It's what is it? The 6 degrees of separation on steroids. Or pay it forward on steroids. Is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know what steroids are on.
What rule do you have for yourself that you never break, and why do you think that is important?
Well, I respect being polite, for one thing, and respect others until they make you lose your respect for them. It's as simple as that.
Is there a road to redemption for people? You see that things can be tough, or a person has an arc over time where you can kind of loop back to them.
You kind of know those people, and you don't lose respect for them if they do something stupid. But you understand, if you know them well enough, you understand what they were stupid about, and you still respect
You're making
them.
sure they're not a baseline asshole, because if that's the person they are, then they're always going to be that.
That exactly. And there are a lot of people like that, too. That you're going to be a jerk, you're going to be a jerk forever. Doesn't make any difference what you do or what you say to them. They just don't care about anything but themselves. So that's about it.
Phenomenal. All right. Well, that was the end of the first 13 questions. Actually, it's the end of the 13 questions. We do have a bonus round. So you ready to get into it? You ready to do the bonus?
I don't know what I'm going to be able to say, but I'll try it.
What would you tell your teenage self?
Stay out of trouble.
You get in a lot of trouble as a teen?
Not a whole lot, because my dad made sure I didn't get in a lot of trouble. But when I don't really guess I got in really big trouble ever, except when I was in the military, when in Alaska, when I was handcuffed. But
Well, that's a pretty good track record. Most people, that have been in trouble, it's a lot of handcuffs before they enter the military.
I had an Article 15 when I was at Fort Rucker, Alabama, when my wife had an abortion, not abortion, a miscarriage, and I ran a traffic light.
I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, what? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, what? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, what? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, what? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, what? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, what?
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians and use labels? Now that's racism.
I don't wanna hold night.
Why?
I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why? I don't wanna hold night.
Why?
I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why? I don't wanna hold night.
Why?
I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why? I don't wanna hold night.
Why?
I don't wanna hold night. Yo,
Why is
why?
there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why?
I don't wanna hold night.
Why?
I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why? I don't wanna hold night.
Why?
I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why? I don't wanna hold night. I don't wanna hold night. Yo, why?
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.